What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the fourth edition of Hashing Out the Draft, presented by Inside the Hashes, your home for all of the insight into your favorite 2021 NFL Draft prospects. I'm your host, Ben Schwartz, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at Virginia Tech running back Khalil Herbert, South Carolina cornerback JayCee Horn, Alabama linebacker Dylan Moses, Iowa State quarterback Brock Purdy, and Ohio State wide receiver Chris Olave. Before we get going today, make sure to like and comment on this video. Feel free to subscribe to our channel so you can catch all of Inside the Hash's great content. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Hashing Out the Draft. So, without further ado, let's hash it out. Aleel Herbert, a 5'9", 212-pound redshirt senior, is in his first season as a member of the Virginia Tech Hokies backfield. Coming out of American Heritage High School in Plantation, Florida as a three-star recruit, Herbert committed to the University of Kansas, where he played for 4 years before leaving the team as a grad transfer. After putting up mediocre stats in a small number of opportunities during his first 3 years with the Jayhawks, Herbert showed signs of improvement in the 4 games he played at Kansas in 2019. During those 4 games, Herbert ran for 384 yards and 2 touchdowns on 43 carries, good for an incredible 8.9 yards per carry. Now, in Blacksburg, Herbert has made the most of his opportunity to be the feature back. Through 11 games, the senior running back has rushed for 1,182 yards and 8 touchdowns on 154 carries, amounting to 7.7 yards per attempt. Among all running backs in the nation, Herbert ranks 5th in yards, 2nd in yards per carry for all running backs with 100 or more attempts, and 38th in touchdowns. Herbert has also hauled in 10 catches for 179 yards and 1 touchdown, proving his viability as a receiving option out of the backfield. His 17.9 yards per reception ranks 2nd among all running backs in the country. One of Herbert's greatest strengths in the run game is his power and compact build. Standing at just 5'9", Herbert has shown that he is able to run hard through the tackles, stay balanced and maintain his low center of gravity, and run through defenders in one-on-one situations. Herbert has also displayed great vision and instincts, especially throughout this season at Virginia Tech. The senior running back is incredibly decisive and will commit fully to hitting a hole. When hitting that hole, Herbert does a good job of sticking his foot in the ground and getting upfield. Once he gets to the second level, he does a good job of running to daylight and finishing runs in the open field. Herbert is also an asset in the passing game, demonstrating good hands on screens and checkdowns. On third downs, he shows willingness to stick in the pocket to block and the awareness to identify the most dangerous man coming on a blitz to threaten the protection. Lastly, although it is not proven to lead to better durability in the NFL, Herbert has not handled a large number of carries throughout his 5 seasons in college football, suggesting his legs will be fresh for longer when he reaches the NFL. Let's take a look at a few plays from this season that have caused many draft experts to move Khalil Herbert up their draft boards. The first 2 plays come from Virginia Tech's matchup with North Carolina. On a 1st and goal from the 8-yard line midway through the second quarter, Herbert is lined up to the left of the quarterback and receives an inside handoff. Instead of trying to plow his way through the trenches, Herbert remains patient in the backfield, waiting for a hole to open up. When a hole does finally open up, but with a UNC defender right there, Herbert could try to run through the defender, but instead plants his foot, cuts to the outside, and makes the defender miss with a vicious stiff arm. The senior running back finishes the run by lowering his shoulder to break through to the end zone. The next play, a 3rd and 8 towards the end of the third quarter, is a great showcase of Herbert's intelligence as a runner and his speed. Once again lined up to the left of the quarterback and taking an inside handoff, Herbert remains patient and is able to cut up through the middle of the line. After making a defender miss with another nasty cut, Herbert puts on the jets as he weaves in and out of defenders, further showing his intelligence, and finishes his run by getting to open space and scoring a touchdown. The third and final play we will take a look at comes from Virginia Tech's matchup with Louisville. On a 1st and 10 early in the second quarter, Herbert, who is lined up on the left side of the quarterback, receives an inside handoff. Once again, Herbert shows great patience, but what is really impressive is the way he bounces off the first would-be tackler and spins out into the open field, maintaining his balance the entire time. This allows him to use that burst of speed to get into the second level of the defense. Another positive from this run is the way Herbert finishes it. By embracing contact and not taking the easy way out of bounds, Herbert is able to gain a couple extra yards, putting the Hokies in a better position to score. There is a lot to like about Herbert, but one detractor from his game is that he is not the most elusive running back and struggles to make something out of nothing. He runs to daylight and has enough long speed to defeat the angle of defenders, but unless he is able to power through a tackler, Herbert is not the most effective in a one-on-one situation. Other than this, Herbert appears to be a complete runner with the potential to be an every-down workhorse. It is no surprise that he has been getting attention as an early Day 2 prospect, with the chance of moving up into the first round. Khalil Herbert brings a lot of speed, a lot of power, and a lot of intelligence to the run game, but that lack of elusiveness is going to be something that's going to come back to hurt him in the NFL. With a great O-line, running backs are very easily able to find open space and use their speed to get big gains. But if that good O-line isn't there, running backs have to be able to create for themselves. I mean, look at guys like Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey, two of the best running backs in the league. Their incredibly elusiveness, very shifty, can stop on a dime, and do just about anything to get to open space. I don't see Herbert having those same capabilities, and that's probably why he's not being considered as one of the top backs in this year's class. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at South Carolina cornerback JayCee Horn. JayCee Horn, a 6'1", 205-pound junior, just finished his third season patrolling the secondary for the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. Coming out of Alpharetta High School in Alpharetta, Georgia, the former four-star recruit was a high school All-American and considered to be one of the top 25 cornerbacks in the nation. As a true freshman at South Carolina in 2018, Horn started 10 of 11 games and had 45 tackles, 2 sacks, 8 passes defended, and was named to the freshman All-SEC team. As a sophomore, Horn started all 12 of the Gamecocks matchups, recording 40 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, and 9 passes defended. Coming into the 2020 season, Horn was slotted in as an integral part of the South Carolina defense, but after playing in 7 games, Horn decided to opt out of the remainder of his junior season following the dismissal of head coach Will Muschamp in order to focus on preparing for the NFL draft. Through these 7 games, Horn recorded 16 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 6 passes defended. His most notable performance of the season came during South Carolina's matchup with Auburn. In that game, Horn recorded 3 tackles and both of his interceptions on the season, helping lead the Gamecocks to an upset victory. This game sent a message not just to the other teams in the SEC, but to draft scouts as well, that Horn is a force to be reckoned with, as throughout the entire game, Horn had to deal with wide receivers Seth Williams and Anthony Schwartz, who have been covered in past episodes and will surely hear their names called in April. Standing at 6'1" and weighing in at 205 pounds, Horn is able to use his long and stocky frame to gain a physical advantage over the receiver he is covering. This physicality creates an advantage for the South Carolina corner when operating in press man coverage, where Horn is at his best. He is willing to crowd receivers at the release and use his hands to reroute them, as he has plenty of play strength and pop in his strikes to stun receivers at the line of scrimmage. To add on to this, Horn uses solid body positioning to seize inside leverage, allowing the sideline to act as an extra defender and creating less space for the receiver. Horn has very quick feet and fluid hips for a larger cornerback, and is able to keep pace with most outside receivers throughout their routes, giving up minimal separation. He is very physical at the catch point, excelling at using his length to close passing windows and playing through the point of the catch, something he has excelled at throughout his time at South Carolina. Horn should not be considered a ball hawk that offenses fear to challenge, but he has the ability to take most receivers out of the game. His size, physicality, athleticism, and competitive toughness make him a worthy matchup on almost any receiver. Let's take a look at a few plays that have many draft experts predicting JayCee Horn will be one of the first 3 cornerbacks taken off the board in the 2021 draft. The first 2 plays come from South Carolina's matchup with Auburn during the 2020 season. As mentioned earlier in the episode, this was one of Horn's best performances of his collegiate career. The first play comes on a 2nd and 10 with nearly 5 minutes to go in the first quarter, all the way at the South Carolina 11-yard line. Horn is lined up in the slot on the bottom of the screen across from Auburn wide receiver Seth Williams, with whom he was battling with all game long in one-on-one coverage. Williams is one of the best red zone targets in the nation, and that is exactly what Auburn is thinking here: give him the ball. However, using his length and physicality, Horn manages to stay engaged with Williams throughout the entire sequence, and is able to break up the pass by getting his hands in the throwing lane. The next play from this game comes on a 3rd and 4 early in the 3rd quarter. Horn is once again lined up against Seth Williams in one-on-one coverage, but this time Horn is pressing up on Williams and the two are matched up on the outside. At the beginning of the route, we can see that Williams is trying to use his size to overpower Horn to get open, but the South Carolina corner is staying with him step for step, using his hands to keep him in front. Once Williams makes his cut inside and Auburn quarterback Bo Nix throws the ball, Horn is right there again, using great footwork to stay with Williams through the cut and great hands to get himself between the ball and the receiver to break up the play. The final play we will take a look at comes from South Carolina's matchup with LSU during his junior year. On this play, Horn is lined up on the bottom of the screen outside the numbers in press man coverage. While the throw is not directed towards Horn's side of the field, this play is important to take a look at because it shows the junior cornerback's commitment to staying involved and finishing out the play. Once the ball is caught, Horn closes a lot of distance quickly to get back into play and make an open field tackle. So, what are the parts of Horn's game that are holding him back? While he is able to hold himself accountable in zone coverage, it is clear he is not as comfortable and his dropbacks are not the smoothest they could be. One other aspect of his game that should improve on his journey to the NFL are his ball hawking abilities. Through 3 years at South Carolina, Horn had only 2 interceptions, and both of them came in that game against Auburn. Because of his style of play, Horn is not focusing as much on the quarterback and trying to read where he is throwing the ball, but he must find a way to track the ball better if he wants to be successful in the NFL. Lastly, Horn's physicality, while it has been incredibly beneficial toward his success in college, could cause some issues in the NFL if it becomes undisciplined. Referees tend to be more strict and less contact is allowed, so Horn will have to make up some of the ground he gains when being physical unless he wants to draw a lot of penalties. JayCee Horn is not built like a lot of other cornerbacks. Yes, he is tall and long like they may be, but he's adding an extra element to the table. Horn has an incredible amount of strength and physicality, which he uses to bully receivers into doing what he wants to do, whether it's keeping them in front, pushing them to the sideline, whatever you name it. Horn is almost like the Derrick Henry of cornerbacks. He's using his size and his aggression and physicality to make sure that he's coming out on top in these interactions, especially in one-on-one press man coverage. Horn is going to be a really great cornerback in the NFL, but I think he has to become a little more disciplined with his physicality and a little bit quicker with his feet. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at Alabama linebacker Dylan Moses. Dylan Moses, a 6'3", 240-pound linebacker, is in his 3rd season manning the defense for the Alabama Crimson Tide. However, long before his time in Tuscaloosa, Moses was already making national headlines as an 8th grader when news broke that Alabama head coach Nick Saban had offered him a scholarship at such a young age. Saban was not even the first to offer Moses a scholarship, as former LSU coach Les Miles had done so the year before. This seems absolutely crazy, but check out this photo from 2013. On the left is current Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back Leonard Fournette, who at the time was still a high schooler, but the number 1 running back and number 2 overall player in the 2014 graduating class. On the right is 8th grade Dylan Moses, who was already labeled as the top player in his recruiting class and makes Fournette look much smaller than he actually is. Now, the former 5-star prospect out of IMG Academy is a senior at Alabama and an integral part of one of the best defenses in college football. Following a productive true freshman season, Moses became a full-time starter before his sophomore year. After recording 86 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble, Moses earned second-team All-SEC honors as well as second-team All-American honors. Unfortunately, just before the start of his junior year, Moses suffered a knee injury that kept him out for the entire season. With Moses deciding to return for 1 more year, there were high expectations placed on the senior linebacker, expectations that he has certainly delivered on. Through 11 games this season, Moses has racked up 68 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 interception on his way to earning first-team All-SEC honors and third-team All-American honors. One of Moses' greatest strengths is his physicality. With great length and strength in his upper body, Moses is able to withstand constant contact and the physical requirements of the position, such as meeting running backs on the second level or engaging with offensive linemen when blitzing. To go along with this, Moses has a physical mindset, always looking to lay a hit and dole out some punishment. The senior linebacker's athleticism works in great coordination with his aggressive style of play. Moses has full sideline-to-sideline range, and it's rare to see him outran. When able to recognize plays cleanly, he flies downhill with reckless abandon, closing distances at an incredible pace. Moses also excels at keeping his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, but when holes open up, Moses does not hesitate to fly through them. Tackling is another strong point for the Alabama linebacker. Very rarely does Moses miss tackles, and ball carriers are always wary of where he is on the field because he has his hit power always dialed up to 11. Lastly, Moses is an incredibly experienced player, naturally increasing his play recognition skills. Using his advanced football instincts, Moses is always seemingly around the ball at the end of the play, whether he is making the tackle or just making the extra effort to be there for assistance if needed. Let's take a look at a few plays that have many considering Moses to be one of the top linebackers entering the 2021 NFL Draft. First up is a play from Alabama's matchup with Texas A&M during Moses' sophomore season in 2018. On a 1st and 10 early in the fourth quarter, Texas A&M is looking to run an inside draw. Moses, who is lined up as the right middle linebacker, stays patient before seeing which hole the running back is looking to go through and committing to attacking. But once this is made clear, Moses exhibits his sure tackling and slams the running back to the ground, almost like he is sending a message. The next play, also from the 2018 season, comes from Alabama's matchup with Tennessee. On a 1st and 10 late in the first quarter, Tennessee is looking to run an inside handoff that will be kicked to the outside. But before the running back has much time to do anything, a blitzing Moses, who is lined up as the right middle linebacker, blows up the play and tackles the running back for a loss. On this play, Moses is able to demonstrate his incredible downhill speed as well as his open field tackling abilities. Next up is a 3rd and 8 late in the fourth quarter from Alabama's matchup with Ole Miss during the 2020 season. While Moses is not directly involved in the outcome of the play, his success in man coverage does contribute to the defense's success. Because of the zone Alabama is playing, Moses gets stuck covering a receiver on a drag route out of the slot. This would be a problem for most linebackers, but Moses is able to use his athleticism and physicality to keep the receiver, who appears to be the check down, from breaking open, ultimately forcing a rollout and incompletion from the quarterback. The final play we will take a look at comes from Alabama's matchup with Missouri during the 2020 season. On this 4th and 2 midway through the first quarter, Moses is lined up as a left side middle linebacker. Missouri is looking to run a pitch option to the right side and pulls 3 offensive linemen out to do so. However, the senior linebacker quickly recognizes the option, and using his speed, he is able to get outside of the 3 offensive linemen and destroy the play in the backfield, forcing Missouri to turn the ball over on downs. Dylan Moses is a complete football player with very few weaknesses to his game. One of these weaknesses, however, is his ability to shed blockers. Many times in run situations, if Moses does not pick the right hole or if the run is to the opposite side, he can often struggle to disengage from his blocks and get back into the play. Or, because he stays squares to the ball carrier, Moses can become an easy target to block. To improve on this, he has to be able to use his hands more consistently to control these interactions. Lastly, while Moses often uses his experience as an advantage, it is a factor that can often negatively affect him, causing him to overthink some plays, which results in being a few moments slow to them. Speed has always helped erase a lot of his mistakes, but that might not be as easy to do when he reaches the NFL. The fact that Dylan Moses was getting national attention in the 8th grade from football is absolutely absurd. Just that picture with him and Leonard Fournette, I can't even believe it. Leonard Fournette has got to be a junior or a senior in high school at that time, and Moses is in 8th grade, and he makes him look small. And Leonard Fournette is not a small guy. It's just absolutely crazy. And now, look at Dylan Moses. He's incredibly athletic, he's fierce, he's aggressive, and he's going to be one of the top 5 inside linebackers taken in this year's draft. Moses has a lot of strengths that we talked about, and those weaknesses too. He's going to have to be able to make sure that he's not overthinking plays and using his great instincts to the most of his abilities. Moses is going to be a big play linebacker and sure to deliver a lot of big hits in his career in the NFL. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at Iowa State quarterback Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, a 6'1", 212-pound junior, is in his 3rd year as the Iowa State Cyclones starting quarterback. Coming out of high school at Perry High School in Gilbert, Arizona, the former 3-star recruit was labeled as a pro-style quarterback. Throughout his career in Ames, Purdy has shown he has the ability to throw the ball effectively and escape the pocket to pick up yards on the ground. After being given a chance to start as a true freshman, Purdy earned Big 12 True Freshman of the Year honors. During his sophomore season, Purdy completed 65.7% of his passes for 3,982 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. To add on, Purdy rushed for 249 yards and 8 touchdowns on 93 carries on his way to being named to the All-Big 12 second team. This season, Purdy has continued to produce by completing 66.4% of his passes for 2,090 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions in 9 games. To add on, Purdy has rushed for 343 yards and 4 touchdowns on 78 carries, marking his most productive rushing season from a yards per carry standpoint by far. Among all quarterbacks in the nation, Purdy ranks 14th in passing yards, 22nd in touchdowns, and 25th in completion percentage. While great statistics are encouraging, Purdy has proven this year that he is a winner, leading Iowa State to an 8-3 record, a top 10 ranking, and an appearance in the Big 12 Conference Championship game and a New Year's Six Bowl. When dropping back as a passer, Purdy finds the most success when targeting receivers inside the hashes. The reason for this is that Purdy is able to effectively anticipate the path of his receivers, and then lead them with his passes without putting them in danger of absorbing a big hit across the middle. In the pocket, Purdy typically remains upright and steady, which allows him to easily survey the field and make the right read. If his receiving options are not available, the Iowa State quarterback has demonstrated he is willing and skilled at extending plays by maneuvering throughout the pocket, both by moving up and stepping by rushers, or by using a spin move to evade them. Another aspect of Purdy's game that will translate well to the NFL is his ability to get the ball out of his hands quickly because of the reduced amount of time the quarterback is given to throw the ball at the next level. With the way the quarterback position has evolved in today's game, you need a quarterback who can do it all. Your quarterback has to be able to stand back in the pocket, read a defense, and pick them apart. He also has to have enough athletic ability to make things happen when the play breaks down. Additionally, he needs to have the speed to break the pocket and the pocket awareness to know when he needs to tuck and run. Brock Purdy has that type of awareness and athleticism. Now, let's take a look at a few plays that showcase why Purdy will most likely be on an NFL roster come next season. The first play comes from Iowa State's matchup with Texas during the 2019 season. On a 1st and 10 at the start of the third quarter, Purdy drops back to pass but is soon pressured by 3 Texas defenders. The junior quarterback showcases that deadly spin move to evade the pocket and rolls out to his left, after which he finds an open receiver way downfield and delivers a beautiful deep pass that the receiver is able to run in for a score. There are a lot of positive signs on this play. What's most notable is that Purdy keeps his eyes downfield when rolling out and extending the play. This is especially impressive since rolling out to the left is naturally more difficult for right-handed quarterbacks. Nonetheless, Purdy is able to reestablish his balance and make a strong throw 45 yards downfield. The next play, also from the 2019 season, comes on a 2nd and 9 midway through the fourth quarter in Iowa State's matchup with Texas Tech. On this play, Purdy runs a play action out of the shotgun and is able to showcase his accuracy and anticipation of the receiver's path by placing the ball right in between 2 defenders and into the hands of a receiver running up the middle of the field. The last 2 plays we'll take a look at come from Iowa State's matchup with West Virginia during the 2020 campaign. The first play comes on a 2nd and 6 early in the first quarter where Purdy is operating out of the shotgun. It appears that Purdy is looking to take a 3-step drop and pass, but these plans are ruined when the West Virginia pass rush breaks the pocket. Once again, Purdy rolls out to the left, and this time, instead of setting his feet, Purdy is able to make a throw across his body and find an open tight end to pick up the first down. This is a type of throw that Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers has used so effectively throughout his career. Being able to throw the ball from the left side as a righty is an incredible asset to have in the NFL. Then, later in the first quarter on a 3rd and 9, Purdy demonstrates great decision-making and more of his athleticism. He takes a 3-step drop out of the shotgun, and it appears that none of his reads are open. Purdy ends up throwing a great pump fake to his check down in order to displace the linebacker in the area and create room to run. After making a couple defenders miss, Purdy picks up the first down on a long 3rd down play. So, what is holding Purdy back from being considered one of the top quarterbacks in his class? We mentioned earlier that a lot of Purdy's success comes over the middle of the field. Throughout his time at Iowa State, throws outside of the hashes and numbers have not been very frequent, and these throws become even more challenging at the next level. While this could be a product of the type of offense and weapons available at Iowa State, Purdy's arm may also be lacking some of the strength the top guys have that allow them to make these throws. While he does not need to be able to throw the ball 70 yards downfield, Purdy has to have all types of throws in his arsenal to be successful in the NFL. Another part of his game that needs improvement is his ball carrying. From the highlights, it is clear to see that Purdy is able to escape the pocket and run. But over the last few years, Purdy has not had the strongest ball security and does not always slide when it would be useful to do so. Not only could this cause his long-term durability to come into question, but limiting turnovers is one of the most important jobs of the quarterback. So teams may be a little hesitant if Purdy's game is running when he cannot always hold on to the ball. Lastly, Purdy needs to become a more consistent passer, specifically in big moments. In the final 2 games of the 2019 season, the regular season finale and the Cyclones bowl game against Notre Dame, Purdy combined for just over 50% completion percentage, slightly over 400 yards passing, and just 1 touchdown. In addition, during the 2020 season, Purdy's completion percentage against top 25 opponents was 4.5 points lower than his completion percentage for the entire season. That's not good enough for the top of the class, plain and simple. Brock Purdy is a really interesting quarterback prospect. Purdy has great pocket presence, and he's able to get the ball out really quickly and typically very accurately. But the ability to throw the ball outside of the hashes is something that's going to really haunt him in the NFL if he's not able to do it. As we've seen at Iowa State and we've seen in most of the highlight videos that we were shown, Purdy is able to throw the ball really effectively over the middle of the field, but not to the outside. If he's going to be successful in the NFL, he's got to be able to throw those out routes, those corner routes, up the outside, you name it. Whatever it is, Purdy's going to have to either increase his arm strength or just get more comfortable with those throws. Last but not least, we're going to be taking a closer look at Iowa State wide receiver Chris Olave. Chris Olave, a 6'1", 188-pound junior, is in his 3rd year as a member of the Ohio State Buckeyes receiver group. Coming out of Mission Hills High School in San Marcos, California, the former 3-star recruit was listed at just 170 pounds. But since arriving in Columbus, Olave has put on nearly 20 pounds to get to his current weight. As a freshman at Ohio State, Olave played on both offense and special teams. He was able to haul in 12 catches for 197 yards and 3 touchdowns during his debut season. While his freshman year was not too productive, the end of it gave some insight into what was to come for the California native. In a 62-39 win over Michigan, Olave caught 2 touchdowns and blocked a punt. Then, the following week in the 2018 Big Ten Football Championship game, he caught 5 passes for 79 yards and a touchdown against Northwestern. Olave carried this momentum into his sophomore year and had a breakout season. After catching 49 passes for 849 yards and 12 touchdowns, Olave earned 3rd-team All-Big Ten honors. Now, as the primary pass catcher for a potent Ohio State offense, Olave has been impressive in what is likely to be his last season playing college football. Through just 6 games, Olave has caught 42 passes for 660 yards and 7 touchdowns, going over 100 receiving yards in all but 1 game. For his stellar play, Olave earned 1st-team All-Big Ten honors. One of Olave's greatest strengths is his route running, which also has the potential to be one of the biggest detractors from his success in the NFL. On film, the biggest thing that stands out about Olave is how smooth and fluid he is. He can effortlessly sneak into a defender's blind spot, and while he doesn't have elite speed, his ability to accelerate and maintain speed throughout his routes help him beat defenders. However, if he wants to be consistent at the NFL level, Olave will have to bring more suddenness and urgency as a route runner and explode into his breaks. He's flashed that necessary suddenness more than once, so we know it's there, but he'll need to show it more consistently against professionals. Despite being a little underweight for his height at the receiver position, Olave is still able to win contested catches thanks to strong hands and good body control. Many scouts have compared the Ohio State junior's skill set to that of Alabama wide receiver Devonta Smith. Like Smith, there is a great deal of polish to his routes, and he has the ability to create a lot of false steps in the secondary. Ultimately, Chris Olave is a technician who has fluid hips and uses his footwork to his advantage. He doesn't overwhelm defenders with elite speed or brute strength, but he is intelligent and understands how to set up defenders and break on routes to create open opportunities. Let's take a look at a few plays where Olave has demonstrated skills that have many draft experts considering a first-round prediction for the Ohio State junior. First up is a play from Ohio State's matchup with Florida Atlantic during the 2019 season. On a 1st and 10 midway through the first quarter, Olave is lined up in one-on-one coverage at the top of the screen. If you are unsure what people mean when they say Olave is smooth and fluid, this is a perfect example. Here, Olave uses a quick jab step to the outside and then a burst of speed to get open on this post route for a touchdown. The reason this looks so effortless all has to do with Olave's great footwork and body control, which leaves defenders guessing on where he is going. The next play comes from Ohio State's matchup with Wisconsin during the 2019 season. Late in the second quarter, on a 3rd and 13, Olave is lined up on the outside at the bottom of the screen. Initially, it looks like Olave will be running a drag route, but as soon as the middle of the field opens up, Olave cuts in, runs up the seam, and is able to secure a wide-open touchdown. Once again, the California native showcases his fluidity and ability to get open by attacking angles and eliminating the defensive back's leverage. This is a concept Olave has run multiple times. In this game against Northwestern from his sophomore season, Olave runs the same route, faking a drag and cutting up the seam, just on the other side of the field. The final play we will take a look at comes from Ohio State's matchup with Penn State during the 2020 season. On a 2nd and 3 midway through the first quarter, Olave is lined up in one-on-one press man coverage at the top of the screen. This time, Olave is not able to break free from the defender using his route running or body control, but is instead forced to make a contested catch. Despite being a little undersized, Olave shows on this play that he is still able to battle, sky up, and use his athleticism to catch the ball, and then control his body on the way down to ensure he gets a foot in bounds. These are all important elements that Olave can still perfect to make himself a very dangerous receiver in the NFL. Because of his size, Olave may have some issues as a run blocker at the next level, and many teams that covet size and strength on the boundary aren't going to be taken away with his physicality. He isn't weak and offers good quickness at the line of scrimmage to slip press coverage, but his strength also isn't a hallmark trait of his game. Typically, when Olave is successful, he's using more finesse over anything else. While there are still some areas of his game to refine, Olave has the potential to make an immediate impact for an NFL offense next season. After taking a closer look at Chris Olave, it's really easy to see why a lot of people are comparing his skill set to that of Alabama standout Devonta Smith. Olave is smooth and buttery. He's a complete tactician in the field, and he's able to find open space against both zone and man coverage. While he does lack that sudden burst at the line of scrimmage, he is going to be able to use his incredible route running, footwork, and a lot of jumping ability to make a lot of great catches in the NFL. Look for Olave to be drafted somewhere towards the end of the first round or the beginning of the second round. Thank you for watching this episode of Hashing Out the Draft. If there's a player not mentioned in today's episode or a past episode that you would like to see broken down, make sure to comment their name below. Feel free to hit up our website, InsideTheHashes.com, for more great football content covering all 3 levels. And don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss any more episodes of Hashing Out the Draft. Once again, I'm your host, Ben Schwartz, and make sure to tune in next time so we can continue hashing out the draft.